kid, 1 week throughout the entire year is the most dreaded for all of us. And no, it's not the upcoming finals week right after Thanksgiving, which is about in like 3 weeks, start studying. It's actually band camp. Band camp, you're outside for at least a week, depending on where you go, in the blistering heat from at least 8 to 5. I personally was outside from 8 to like 6 or 7 each day this past summer. And I personally think that the only culprit to blame for this is global warming, because each year it would get hotter and hotter. So, next slide please. Global warming is a pressing issue to the world today. People have opinions on it without being informed, just like most things. I personally think that if we can explain what global warming is, the problems that result from it, and what the future holds for us, might help people have a more educated and purposeful stance on it. As I said, with the fall semester coming to a close, that means Christmas is just around the corner. We all probably just stick to Netflix now, but if you still see commercials like on Snapchat and stuff, you'll start seeing the Coca-Cola commercials that have the jolly old Santa. I remember a time when there used to be the polar bear commercials for Coca-Cola. They had little animated polar bears, and they would tell you at the end of the commercial, if you bought a certain bottle, a certain amount of money you spent for that bottle would go to proceeds for not just the polar bears, but other animals that are affected by the melting ice. This is partially what sparked my interest for this, because I actually just recently saw one, and I haven't seen them in the past few years. Global warming is the increase in high temperatures. It's a very controversial topic because a lot of people don't really know what it is. They don't know what caused it besides greenhouse gases, which still even then people don't know what greenhouse gases are. So people go back and forth as to saying whether they believe if it exists or not. According to NASA, scientists attribute the global warming trend to the human expansion of the greenhouse effect, which is warming that results when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the Earth towards space. There's a lot of different types of gases that cause this, but the main ones are carbon dioxide, which can be produced from cars and other things, methane, which comes from decomposed waste, nitrous oxide, which comes from fossil fuels, and chlorofluorocarbons, which can come from things like packing peanuts. Now, I know we all like to make fun of Priuses and other stuff like that, but they're definitely more eco-friendly and won't produce as much carbon dioxide as other cars would. And also, as far as packing peanuts, maybe next time you send someone a package, put the more like biodegradable things or just like paper in there as like a buffer for it to not get damaged. Next slide, please. Globally, 18 out of the 19 warmest years on record have occurred since 2001, according to Aaron Baker. I got these pictures off the NASA website. They actually have a whole entire separate website dedicated to global warming and explaining to people what it is. On that side, you can see the carbon dioxide levels and how the more orange it is, it's like there's more carbon dioxide in the air. So the top picture is 2002 and the bottom picture is 2016. And this one, you can see the temperature increase from 1884 to 2018. It was kind of confusing because they didn't have exact temperatures on it, but you can definitely see that the Earth is definitely getting hotter throughout the years. Next slide, please. So, in recent decades, the Greenland ice sheet has experienced an accelerated mass loss, contributing to at least 25% of contemporary sea level rises, according to Johanna Beckman. Next slide, please. In this, I have a picture of the Arctic sea ice, and it's not the Greenland ice sheet, but you can still see on how there's a difference between 1979 and 2018. It doesn't look like a very big difference, but when you're standing there, like if you're standing down on the ice, that's probably a very big difference. And also here, if the Greenland ice sheet continues to melt, the sea level can rise by 5 to 7 meters. So this is what it's at currently, and this is what it could look like if it continues to melt, which it's going to continue to melt if things continue at the rate that they are. Next slide, please. Since heat can cause extra humidity and other issues, it can also increase heat, it can cause an increase in heat and also natural disasters. If we take a look at California, how many times did we see on the news that there was another fire, in how badly they were spreading and their drought that they've had for a really long time. For us personally, we wake up to texts in the morning for heat waves throughout the summer, which personally I find very annoying when I wake up and I have plans to go to an amusement park and see a heat advisory on my phone. Also, it causes other problems such as the intensity, frequency, and durations of hurricanes have all increased globally since the early 1980s, according to NASA. So this means that not only is heat affecting us badly, but also it's causing other natural disasters that are also deadly to us. And speaking of deaths, extreme heat kills and hospitalizes more people than hurricanes do. And also, next slide please. In the US, it causes more deaths than any other weather event, killing an estimated of 1,500 people each year, according to Air Baker. This causes parks and other places such as hiking trails to put up signs as heat warnings. Personally, when I was a drum major in high school for band camp, I had to constantly be on the lookout for people who were swaying on the field because that meant they were about to pass out. I, for one, passed out during band camp. We usually had at least 2 people a year pass out, and it actually increased each year that the amount of people were passing out. Next slide, please. So according to Christopher Borick, 72% of people believe that global warming exists. 11% were unsure as to what it was, and 17% disbelieve that it's an actual thing. Next slide, please. As they say in AA meetings that you hear in movies all the time, the first step to fixing a problem is actually recognizing it. And 97% of actively publishing scientists agree that global warming is created by human activities. I think that it's time for us to own up to what is happening to the world, and that it's mainly because of all the things that we are doing that's causing all the greenhouse gases to get a lot worse, and I think that it's time for us to start cleaning up our mess. Next slide, please. If things don't get better, NASA says that the rising temperatures won't stay steady, that there will be global fluctuations in temperatures throughout the world. For example, in Illinois, this weekend, I went 2 hours south in Illinois and it was 70 degrees, and now there's snow on the ground, and so we're already seeing global fluctuations, and it'll just continue to get worse and worse. There will also be different regions will see different futures between heat waves, heavy downpours, droughts, rising sea levels, and a lot more. There is a whole, as I said on the NASA website, there's a whole thing dedicated to it, and they have all the different, there actually are some pros to it, but definitely the cons weigh out the pros. Next slide, please. So I know that we're all just thinking, well, what can I do to help? Mainly what you can do as a citizen is you can spread awareness. So you can post pictures, and if you see a post on Facebook, if you use Facebook, share it. Also, I saw that for voting, I found a thing about the politicians, and it said only about 57% of them would do something. Actually, yeah, 57% of them would still do something no matter what other countries would do. So since we're all finally at the age to vote, be watching what the politicians say. Vote for someone that's in favor of the economy and stuff like that. Also, you can erase your carbon footprint and be more eco-friendly. That I found a pie chart of where a lot of our carbon dioxide and stuff comes from. As I said earlier, transportation. If you have a car on campus and you live all the way in back and want to go to Old Main, don't drive, just walk. If you want to go to Jimmy John's, walk. It's not that far, plus you could probably use the fresh air from all the stress of all your classes and stuff. You could also ask for nitro lids when you go to Starbucks so you don't use a straw, save the turtles. Okay. So yeah, just stay informed and try to be more eco-friendly. Thank you.